Our next guest was on the Amtrak train that derailed last night. Bonham was on one of the final cars when it happened, one of the last cars as part of the train, and he joins us now. So, Caleb, I know you spent some time in the hospital last night. How are you feeling this morning?
A little banged up, and there's no doubt about that. But overall, I'm very fortunate and blessed to be able to have walked out of this situation relatively unscathed. So hit my head pretty hard and that sort of thing. But there's a lot of people, there's a lot of families right now that are struggling a lot worse than I am. So I'm just praising God that I was able to walk out alive.
Well, we're showing some of the footage from the accident, Caleb, and it is horrific just to take in. Devastating is about the word that fits. I'm wondering if you could just kind of walk us through what happened last night. You're on the train. You just leave the Philadelphia station. What happens next?
I was coming from D.C. we actually got on the train. We reach the Philadelphia station, like you said, and we leave there. It was all a blur for me. It happened very quickly. It was a very strange situation that I've seen how I went from a peaceful situation where I'm sitting there in the chair listening to my iPhone, listening to some music, and within just a matter of seconds, was thrown to the other side of the train. Everything was black, and there was smoke everywhere. So it happened for me very quickly. Now, I've heard other people talk about their experiences with this story. They heard cracking, they heard buckling of train cars. They heard, the brakes sort of being pressed on. I didn't experience any of that. I was sitting there in the back car and started to see my laptop shake a little bit. It was on the seat next to me. And there's like one or two little images I have. I saw my laptop kind of floating in midair as it flew somewhere. And then the next thing I remember, I was on the other side of the train and then woke up. I don't think I was knocked out. I opened my eyes and it was all black. It was instant.
So what did you see from that point on after you, and then I think that's so important for our viewers to remember that suddenly it's dark, it's nighttime, so there's no light for you to really figure out what's going on, at least in the immediate. So from that point, what is the first thing that you see, and how do you get yourself out of the car?
Well, the first thing we saw was there was a sort of a light in the middle of the hallway at the end. And there was people trying to gain composure, trying to pick themselves up. We didn't know where we were. We didn't know where we were on top of. On that route from D.C. and from Philly to New York City, you cross several bridges. You're above water in many cases. You don't know where you are. And our train was tipping. It was moving. And so we were sitting there. And the train was sort of just at an angle, and it never actually ended up rolling or tipping on its side, but it was tipping, and we didn't know what was going to happen. So people sort of just really got together and started finding a way out. There were some people that were trying to break down the glass windows, but there was a door that was open in the back, and so people started filtering out, and it was actually very calm and collected. It was a wonderful thing to see so many people rise up and look to care for people in need, to care for people that didn't, that may have more serious injuries, and people were on the ground trying to pick each other up. It was a complete mess. Chairs were torn out, metal was all over the place. It is a true blessing that people were not injured beyond what they were, and it is absolutely tragic that I've heard that 7 people have passed.
Right.
So it is an absolute tragedy, but this could have been a lot worse.
It's worth noting, too, Caleb, as you see where you actually left the train car, you're still amongst a lot of different tracks there. And again, it's at night. You don't know if there's other trains coming. So I'm sure that added to a little bit of the confusion. I'm curious what you think about some of these reports that we're getting, and it's just reports at this time from the Wall Street Journal saying that the train was traveling at a very high speed for that curve. It sounds from what you're saying that you didn't really notice too much before this accident happened, but now looking back and reflecting, did it feel like the train was traveling at a high speed?
I can't comment on the speed. That was never something I noticed. The trains travel really fast, and I wasn't paying attention. If that train was going 100 miles an hour on a curve where the speed limit is 50 miles an hour, then Amtrak has some real explaining to do. That is a, that was a
well,
absolute mess.
Again, just reports at this time. Really quick before I let you go, I think it's worth pointing out again your experience when you actually leave the train car. We've had these questions about why Amtrak doesn't know who was on the train and why there are still unaccounted for people. You say that really you had to leave everything behind on the train. Did you have your cell phone when you walked off? What about your laptop? Is all of that still left behind?
Pretty much everything is left behind. I was fortunate enough to have somehow my cell phone landed in the purse of a young woman who went to the ER, and through Facebook, somebody got a hold of the person that had my cell phone, and I was able to pick it up this morning.
Wow.
But beyond that, everything else is gone, and everything else is gone for everybody else. But there are. It's a very tragic situation that has occurred, and my thoughts and prayers go out to the families.
Ours as well. And Caleb, it's nice of you to take the time to join us today. Your firsthand account means a lot, and I'm sure our viewers really appreciate your perspective, as do we. Thanks so much for the time today, and safe travels getting home now.
Hey, thank you.